Hi dear friends, this will be a video which kind of goes through my thought experiment of the M.O.A.T project a little more with some other details that I haven't yet until now considered. So basically the gifts of the sweet spots of those walls are one of the motivating factors to go see the walls of these large sculptures in a spiral and a large piece of land. So tourists, upon the tourist attraction, will be able to enjoy the art because it feels just right. Not the walls aren't too big, nor are they too small, but in ratio to each other, and they're perfect. The money is not as sweet as the sweet walls, even like the money that we can make by, you know, getting fees from tourists and parking fees or something. And so let's see here. The moat is also the monumental outrageousness around Texas, like I always say. That's its name. These sweet spots are dependent on kind of ratios between the walls. So the walls don't exist really, only the relationships between the walls. One of my little ideas. um, there's a dependence upon that sweet spot and the whole project, not just the walls themselves with the sweet spot. So I'm looking at how the M.O.A.T project with the sweet spot on the walls relates to the M.O.O.N project, because the M.O.O.N project is the second utopian idea that I had. The first one was this M.O.A.T project, which is supposed to make a lot of money for charities, specifically for like scientific research on diseases, and also the second utopian project, M.O.O.N, will be to help people get along together better by helping the world demilitarize, getting the ball rolling for something like that through art and lots of love. So basically, I've decided that the government is the object of my concern with funding M.O.A.T. And it plays a big part in the M.O.O.N project too, but I'm talking about M.O.A.T right now. So I'll have to make lots of presentations, or others will if I'm not around or something, if they choose, to the government to get permission to use their money to build M.O.A.T and to run M.O.A.T. So what I would like to be able to prove along the lines of doing this is that the government can get a good return on their investment, and then once the governments could be paid off, whether they are a combination of local, state, and federal governments, that after that money gets paid off, the rest of it, once M.O.A.T is in operation, can go to those charities which can do those scientific researches. So I was saying being able to see is kind of like what this project is about. I mean, the tourists go to see; they don't go to they go to experience M.O.A.T, but sight is involved. So I was thinking like how I could like make a kind of theory of the birth of sight with the M.O.A.T project in this new way. So it's like an opening up of love and sight where there was no sight before. So I've got this idea and the design. My angels helped me with it. Next, I have to present them, but that's my next step in the process. So I've decided to kind of section or outline or divide into parts these steps as well as the projects. So I could say, well, since M.O.A.T is designed as a whole, we have 254 counties in Texas, and the 254 counties in Texas each get a spiral of these shapes, the monuments. There's 120 monuments per spiral, and that serves as the reason, well, one reason that tourists can come and check it out. But the spirals each differ in kind, not so much in degree. Basically, you could have one. I'm dividing it up into like 254 M.O.A.T presentations. Those are for each county, because that's where I'm going to start presenting the M.O.A.T project after I do lots and lots of research. And let's see here. So I've decided that it's not an unfeasible project. It should be done and it can be done. Because it can be done, it probably should be done because it's a good cause and it will work. So basically, the costs for doing each of these spirals, I'm setting right now at $10 million. And basically that's about $83,333 per monument, and there are 120, so that equals $10 million. So that's the cost of the materials to build on top of a piece of land, many acres. So if each of these are $10 million, then it will cost us $2,540,000,000 for the entire, project to have all of the spirals happen in Texas as 254 tourist attractions. So you can see it's the biggest project I can think of. And there's reasons why it's big and why, we want a lot of money for scientific research. That's part of the reason why it's so big. And the sweet spot of the people coming together is for demilitarization of the world. That's the M.O.A.T project, but scientific charities being funded to help with health and to prevent diseases and cure them. That's part of what the M.O.A.T project is hoping to accomplish. So with M.O.A.T, you get like this idea of a longevity into a future that has no end of trust. And with the M.O.A.T project, you get kind of a sweetness of people coming together because every nation demilitarized, theoretically. They're two thought experiments, but I like to think them out. So basically, like I say, the spirals are $10 million for each one, and there are 254 of them. And then I got the idea today that we could pool, just like we do the money for helping nations demilitarize from 15 hero nations. We could pool the 15 or the 36 biggest counties in Texas, a part of their budget to help the smaller counties afford their own M.O.A.T project. So with this pool, everybody gets funded, and the smaller counties are helped by the bigger counties, but also not just the state budget. The state budget might be involved too, as well as these local counties' budgets, and the government or the at the federal level too. So we can get county grants, state grants, federal grants, maybe even international grants somehow. And that's all government, not including any kind of private investors for the M.O.A.T project. So this project cost $2.54 billion, and land and development. And to see it come to birth, to see that kind of seeing is a birth of a new kind of revealing, I think. That makes a big impact. So basically, I drew a little pie chart right here where a certain amount of the budget for M.O.A.T's earnings come from the state, come from the county, come from the federal governments, and then once M.O.A.T pays that money back, or maybe they're just awarded it and they can just run, then the money that M.O.A.T makes in their earnings goes to local charities, state charities, and national charities. They all get benefited on each of those levels. That's the plan. Which I also kind of, anyways, investment on Texas tourism is like none other in this way. Texas has an annual, makes an annual $193.8 billion in tourism. They made that in 2023. And there were 122.4 million tourists in Texas in 2023. If Texas was its own country, it'd be the 8th largest economy in the world. It makes $2.709 trillion in its gross state product. And so it makes a lot of money, but it can make more for charities. So to grow this idea and the wonder infinitely, and the education infinitely, that's its possible value. The poetry of the value of investing $10 million in each county for their own tourist attraction of a M.O.A.T spiral. So, like I say, we pool these revenues and give them back to pay off the investors, local, county, state investors, and they all can get us $2.54 billion more in total each. I want to say like each year since they're getting about $200 billion in tourism, and that's only 1/100th of what Texas makes in tourism a year. So the 2.54 billion that we could make per year is only 1/100th of what Texas makes per year anyway. And the new money that goes to charities after the investors are paid back is, I would like to have it as 100%. So it would have to be kind of through a nonprofit organization. And basically I wrote down trails, because once you make these projects, and you have to make a nice trail around them so that the tourists can circulate in pleasant ways. So basically those are the ideas I worked on today. Thank you for listening.